When you think about Titanfall, you don't think single player, and that's for a very good reason. The first game didn't have one, so it stands to reason that it's not something that comes to mind. It did its best to give us some insight into the story via the multiplayer, but a lot of people were left wishing they had more of an insight into this massive world and lore that had been created. Thankfully, with Titanfall 2, we'll get our wish and we'll be given a full campaign mode. So recently I was invited to the Respawn Studios in Los Angeles to get hands-on with the multiplayer aspect of Titanfall 2, and while we unfortunately weren't able to get hands-on with the single player, we did however get to see a good amount of footage from it, and I got a good feel for the direction they were taking, and I have to say that I'm pretty impressed with what I saw so far. When you think Titanfall, you think of fast movement, action-packed Titan gameplay, and while you'll get some of that in the single player as you would expect, there's also a lot more to it than you may think it seems on the surface. The most important aspect they're going for here by the looks of it is the relationship between you and your Titan, and that's what they're trying to latch onto. In the gameplay we were shown, you play as Jack Cooper, a grunt for the militia, a bit of a nobody, but you've got a dream. You want to be a pilot more than anything, and Captain Lastimosa has taken you under his wing. You head out onto a straightforward mission, and of course something goes wrong and you end up in real trouble. Captain Lastimosa saves you, but spoiler alert, he unfortunately loses his life in the process, leaving you and his loyal Titan, which goes by the name of BF7274, as the only survivors. And then after a small mission to grab a battery to power the captain's Titan, you link with it and you're now its new pilot. You then carry on with your mission to meet up with another captain, this time Captain Anderson, and you don't know why you're meeting him, but what's important here is that it's the protocol of your Titan and the rules that they're programmed with. Firstly, in the Titanfall lore, Titans need a pilot to operate them. They can't function without being linked to a pilot. Secondly, they will always attempt to complete their mission. In this case, it's meeting with Captain Anderson. And thirdly, their prime directive is to protect their pilot. And we were told it's important to remember this order. And the Titans, for example, would always prioritize the mission over the safety of the pilot. I'm envisioning at some point that your bond becomes so strong with your Titan that it might break protocol to save your life. Something like that, surely bound to happen. What this Titan pilot combo gives you is some cool moments for interaction and some comedy as well. There was some really interesting narrative between yourself and the Titan, and you actually get dialogue options that pop up, and you can use these to ask specific questions that give an audio dialogue option, or choose to not bother with them at all if that's your thing. I don't think it's going to affect the story in any way. On the way through an area, you may be given the option to tap up or down on the D-pad to ask a question like, so why are we here? Or what are those crazy electronic beams on the wall? Your Titan will then give you an answer or go into some more detail. It leads to a few funny exchanges and connecting with your Titan. If you would rather keep it quiet though, like I said, and not bother with the dialogue options, you can just skip them and do that if you want. There was a really good moment in the gameplay we saw, and I think part of it was actually in the trailer from EA Play, where BT, your Titan, suggests throwing Jack over a massive gap to get to a platform on the other side. He gives it a 68% chance of success, and Jack asks what the other 32% chance meant. Of course, BT started to list off horrible injuries to Jack, but combined with the Titan animations egging Jack on, it turned into a pretty funny, light-hearted moment of connection with their machine. And because Titanfall has this great movement mechanic as well with the pilots, it would be a shame if it didn't utilise it to the fullest. And as you would expect, it looks like that you can traverse levels in the single player in a much more dynamic way using your movement abilities. It looks like there's going to be almost certain puzzles in place when working your way through a level, and you're going to have to combine your movement, jumps and wall running along with your gadgets to get through. Partway through the gameplay we were shown, we had to acquire a tool called the Arc Tool to repair a radar dish, and that was a pretty funny moment as well when he acquires the Arc Tool, but I'm not going to spoil that one for you because it was pretty good. But what the Arc Tool did as well as serve the pilot was to open up a new gameplay mechanic. You could open up switches with it by firing off its beam, but in a mission that we saw, it enabled the player to run around combining jumps and wall runs whilst opening switches to pop down bridges while he was still moving and maintaining momentum. It made for some dynamic moments and fun gunplay. What I also noticed that was during the gameplay you were able to switch between Titan types. types. BT-7274 is your Titan, that's set in stone, but in Titanfall 2 there are different classes of Titan such as Scorch or Ion and Ronin, the one that we all want to play with because that one's got a sword. Well, we saw it briefly wielding his sword, and the developer playing was actually able to switch between the Titans on the fly. The environments look great as well. The levels we saw range from a grungy robot factory looking like something out of Doom, and a green lush environment with native animals for you to concern yourself with. They almost look like mini dinosaurs, which of course I'm all for. Who doesn't like dinosaurs? Overall, I'd say that we saw around 30 minutes of single player missions from various parts of the game, and what struck me is that they all had different elements and mechanics to them to change up the pace of the game. It wasn't just a run and gun the entire way to the end, which is good. We saw some movement puzzles almost, and a scene that you also see in the trailer with the player moving through time as if it had stopped around him. Not quite sure what that's about, so there could be some kind of time travel elements in the story, but it looked interesting. The game had some great banter between your character and Titan, some comedy moments thrown in, and did I mention that there are a lot of developers working on Titanfall that originally worked on some of the best Call of Duty games such as Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. And if you've been watching my videos recently, you'll see that I did a walkthrough of the All Gillied Up mission, which is probably one of the best COD missions of all time. Put all that together and I think, and I'm hoping, that the single player could actually be a lot of fun. I'm not expecting like a mammoth 20-hour campaign here. I think that we'd probably see something that lasts around 6 to 8 hours, but hopefully it's going to be good. Wrapping things up, I'll be showing you some exclusive multiplayer footage as well in the not too distant future, so please look out for that. Subscribe if you're interested in checking out more Titanfall 2 content. If you enjoyed the video, do give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm going to let the single player footage play out now without my commentary on top, so you can hear it all without me yapping. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
My mapping systems have been restored. The ambush of the 9th Militia Fleet has landed us far off course from our original destination. We are located in hostile territory. Be careful, we cannot stay here long.
You think we can survive through this, BT?
We have no other options. We will have to improvise and adapt if we wish to survive.
How long did you serve with Lastimosa?
Captain Lastimosa linked with me 973 days ago.
That's longer than any relationship I've had.
Noted.